I'm proud to join Parler. This platform gets what free speech is all about.
Welcome to the 2 Men in the Middle Minute Pod. A couple weeks ago after the election, we referenced an app called Parler. And I wanted to do a little homework on that and understand what Parler was, why it's getting so much press, what makes it different from other social networking platforms, and why it's considered to be primarily used by conservatives. So, what is Parler? Well, it's a microblogging service like Twitter, but it positions itself as anti-big tech. It entices users who are frustrated with Twitter or Facebook. Its website labels itself the world's town square where you can, quote, speak freely and express yourself openly without fear of being deplatformed for your views. Parler states that its aim is to reach for a higher ethical standard by promoting security, privacy, freedom of expression, and trust. Parler originally was meant to be named for the French word to speak, but it's not pronounced parler. It was founded in 2018 by two graduates of the University of Denver Computer Science program. Based in Nevada, the company has about 30 employees, and it's privately funded, which we'll get to in a minute. Currently, it's free and has no advertising. Parler has seen significant growth in the last 6 months. Just after the election, we noted that it was the number one app in both Apple and Google's app stores, and it was adding over 3 million users in a single week. Parler now has 10 million total users and 4 million active users. I'm not sure what active means in this case, but to compare to the numbers that Facebook and Twitter publish, Twitter references 145 million daily active users, and Facebook quotes 2.7 billion monthly active users. This probably means Parler is about less than 3% of the size of Twitter and infinitesimally smaller than Facebook. Still, despite its size, it's obviously created a lot of buzz. So what makes it different from Twitter? Well, let's start with the similarities. It has followers, comments, direct messages, upvotes, etc. Parlays, which are the platform's tweets, do allow for longer messages, up to 1,000 characters, but I think it's really the sign-up process where you start to see the primary difference. Anonymity is discouraged, and users can upload a government-issued photo ID during the sign-up to be marked as a verified user. Public figures and parody accounts are also noted. I think this verification process is significant to note. Everyone's familiar with the concept of an internet troll and the abuse that those individuals can bring, but might this be a test of whether you could say online what you'd be willing to say to your neighbor's face? Parler doesn't use content recommendation algorithms. It claims to collect no data, and unlike Instagram even, it simply shows users posts in reverse chronological order. Parler positions itself as an alternative to big tech. It promotes big free speech and minimal moderation. They've stated that they'll allow posts and accounts that are not allowed or flagged elsewhere. That public town square is reiterated often. So why is Parler considered a conservative platform? First, let's go back to that private funding. Parler is backed by lead investor Rebecca Mercer, who's the daughter of a hedge fund investor named Robert Mercer. Mrs. Mercer has in the past shown strong support for Steve Bannon, Breitbart News, Cambridge Analytica, and she stated that her influence on the direction of the company is felt. Second, early in its history, its growth came from conservative activists and Republican personalities, including Rudy Giuliani and former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale. Parler's CEO is John Matz, and he told Reuters that while they had originally intended for the platform to be bipartisan, they purposefully marketed towards conservatives in 2019 when they saw that user base grow. More recently, Parler began adding numerous users this spring when some of the president's tweets got flagged by Twitter as either potentially misleading or glorifying violence. I should note that in these cases, flag means Twitter put visual labels around the tweets rather than actually removing the tweets themselves. Over the summer and fall, growth of conservative groups continued, and in the last 2 months, it's become quite the home to far-right movements like QAnon and the Stop the Steal campaign. This, of course, culminated in the aforementioned post-election spike, which brings us to where we are today. So going forward, what do we look for in an app like this and some of the others that come out as competitors to YouTube and Facebook? First, I'm curious, does this growth continue? or does it stop with these controversial groups? Is it possible for a new service to still reach critical mass when competing with the big players? Second, do the attempts to remove anonymity encourage civil discourse? Do they work? Third, how well does this content enforcement done by volunteer community jurors work? This model has been successful on sites like Wikipedia, but it requires a highly active and passionate group of volunteers. Maybe not the least of which is, how does Parler monetize their platform to become a profitable business? If you read the terms of service, they do allow for the application to tailor content for its users in the future. And hopefully we've all learned the lesson that if an application is free, it's probably us and our data that is the currency. Last, I'm especially interested to see if the continued sharding of public discourse occurs, much like we saw with the original media into TV and news networks. If social networking goes the same route where just conservatives go to a certain area and just liberals go to a certain area, what does that mean for our democracy and coherent debate? What does it mean for the long term of the representation of ideas and sharing of opinions? We'll see. All right, that's it for Parler. Thanks for listening to 2 Men in the Middle. You can follow Craig and Brendan on Twitter.
Thanks for listening to 2 Men in the Middle. Make sure to give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Check out our website at 2meninthemiddle.com. Drop us an email at 2meninthemiddle@gmail.com or tweet at us at 2 Men in the Middle. We'll see you next week.